keep saying
what's
now.
up?
What is going on, everyone? I can see a few of you in the chat here already. Mikey Nerd Talk, Jared Hodges, Thomas Franco, and Edward Sanchez. And I forgot to mute my volume, so now I'm hearing me in echo. You're not hearing an echo. I'm hearing an echo. Okay.
You guys,
Now we're going to air New Bill. What's going on, everyone? How y'all doing today? How are you?
What's up?
How are
how's
you
your
and
quarantine life?
everyone else doing?
my quarantine life is interesting because right now I'm remodeling my place. I mean, from root to the toot, like everything is going. I pulled up the floor. I had carpet. I'm putting down hardwood. I tore down the tile that was in the kitchen, putting new tile, and painted everything. Took out the cabinets, like gutted it, putting new ones in, putting granite on it, ceiling fans being replaced. Everything in my place is.
Also, I'm Daniel today.
Oh, that
and
moved
Daniel's
everything around.
L.
Huh. I will.
Oh my god.
I will fix that. I can fix that. Fix that.
Okay. Well, until then, let me see. I'm just trying to think.
Do you have the before? Or do you have before pictures so you can look
Yeah,
at the before and after?
yeah.
Okay, I can't wait to see that
No,
on Instagram.
wait. I think I may have before. I don't really know. I just have during. No, I have during, and then I'll have after. I don't have any before because I was like, what am I taking a picture of?
Ooh, we want to see the glam up photos.
Oh yeah. I will do what I can.
Moving on up to the east side.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, oh, I feel so great about everything. But since I'm L right now, I'm gonna try to. Yeah, I just I love doing it. It's so fun. I love it. That's great. And then for Daniel, all you have to do is just drop. All you have to do is drop your phone a few times.
No, I have to be. I'm the BSG, the purveyor of Eddie, the Bicon. Holla at your boy.
Oh, that's genius. And then add a little bit of a list, and then drop your phone every once in a while.
All right. I mean, I was doing that last week. I have a tripod this week to avoid the Daniel falling all over the place, going crazy up in this live stream. So what about you guys in the chat? How have you guys been doing? You guys still under the stay-at-home orders? We in California have to stay at home until May 15th.
I still think it's going to be longer. I really do.
I think so too. Larry, going back to work tomorrow. Congratulations. Hopefully you'll have a fun time. No kids around, I hope. But yeah, everyone else seems to be doing pretty good. What about you, Josh? What have you been up to this week?
A lot of this kind of stuff. I've been working on updating some of our graphics. I know Jezer has been too. I don't know if he's watching right now. If he's not watching, I'm quietly kind of trying to compete with him.
Excellent. Well, Jezer has a lot of experience though. Jezer's graphics are like pretty good, so you set the bar real high, Josh.
I'm low key like downgrading everything a little bit before I make it go up. I activated my personal Twitch the other day, just so I could try some things out. And I figured out how to have an animated frame. So like if you go to my Twitch, which is just my social media handle on there, you can see a video of me looking like an idiot in like one of these frames, but the outside of the frame is actually moving around. So like everything is animated.
Is moving.
Well, the background's moving. So I had mine glowing and like rotating and doing all kinds of other shit. So it'll.
Well, stay tuned for that, guys.
Yeah.
That should be coming up on Retro.
That's gonna look good. I also think I decided that I'm gonna start using my Twitch to do just like fun stuff in After Effects and just because like how like Jim Lee like will draw like comics and art on his. So I was thinking about using mine. Like obviously I'm not great at this kind of stuff, but if I could use it to learn and show people how I'm learning and get ideas from other people, then why not? And that's really about it. Just.
Yeah, Jared Hodges also says new to Twitch, still trying to figure it out. It is a different platform for us as well. And speaking of Twitch, if you happen to be on it later tonight at 10 p.m. Pacific time, Jared Hodges, we will be doing a Twitch stream. We'll be watching Rick and Morty. Josh and I will be watching Rick and Morty, and we will be discussing the episode. The mid-season premiere is tonight, so we're super stoked about that. So any of you in the chat that have a Twitch account, make sure to check us out at 10 p.m. Pacific time, because I don't know where all y'all live.
Are you going to be making use of the new item you got on Tuesday?
I have not christened it yet, but I may have to. I think I will, because my normal vessel has not been cleaned in a week and it tastes not great right now. So probably will do a quick alcohol rub down of the new baby and check that out tonight. If you guys are curious about what we are talking about, it will be up on some kind of social media platform.
It'll be up on our website. We got a I don't know what to call it, a subscription box for pharmaceutical stuff that you can buy legally in California, and you can see Elle unboxing
21
that.
or over.
Yes, you'll be able to see that on the Illuminerdi.com sometime towards the end of next week. But yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about
Let's go Rangers.
About Power Rangers in space.
Because that's why we're here. This is the Retro Ranger wrap-up. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. We are still in quarantine live, so bear with us if there are any technical difficulties. But yeah, we have 2 great episodes starring our new Silver Ranger, who I think is actually kind of a cutie patootie. I like him.
He is. They refer to him as the Power Ranger Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he's a good-looking kid. Oh, I don't know if he's a kid. Like, it's a weird thing because watching this, like, I know that they're fairly young and I'm older, but I don't know how it evens out with, like, current age.
Right.
Yeah,
well, so
like, looking, I was like, he's such a cute kid.
This was...
Or a man now.
This series was in, what was it, 2000, 2001, somewhere around there?
Yeah.
So if you guesstimate that he was probably around 21, 22 in the show, he's probably about, like, early 40s? No?
And we just had an interview with him too. Joe did the interview, and I could probably look this up on IMDb and see how old he actually is. But yeah, I love the Silver Ranger. I am all for him.
Just a question. What time is the Twitch? What time is the Twitch show happening?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Plus or minus like 3 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool. No, so Thomas Franco, don't worry about it. There's not going to be a conflict between the Twitch show or the Twitch stream and the wrestling show.
Oh yeah.
We're not.
Yeah, I come after that.
I run the technical end of the wrestling show, so I can't do both simultaneously. We'll be going on about an hour after the wrestling show ends.
Yeah, see, so you'll be good.
So, yeah,
you'll be good.
You'll be
You
good.
can tune into everything.
So
I know it's kind of late for some of y'all, but
I mean, it's kind of late for me now.
It's late. It's late for me. It's like at least 3 hours past my bedtime.
So
I don't even know what time is anymore, so I don't.
All right, so question for you guys: What did you think about this first episode? Episode
A Date with Danger.
A Date with Danger.
It was weird. Okay, let me just kick this off. Was there any build up to this episode? Like this was like a brick in the face to me of Zhane and Astronema like kind of having this back and forth. Were there breadcrumbs for this at all in any of those episodes?
Not that I've seen.
Okay. Only breadcrumbs that I could even say was pretty much, since he couldn't hook up with Andros, they just had him hook up with his sister. I mean, think about it. That was all.
I kind of thought that he would maybe say something, or
you.
It's weird. Like I'm kind of curious if they maybe had some sort of chemistry back on like KO35 or something. But wouldn't he recognize her? Like I don't know. It was a weird episode, but I kind of liked it.
That's what I'm like, man. I don't know.
It's hard for me. I wasn't a fan of this episode, and not because it was like a typical CW relationship drama type stuff. It just like you said, it just kind of like came out of the blue, and it seemed like there was no other story really going on in this episode. It was just like, hey, we're gonna see if Zhane and Astronema can be a thing, and that was it.
Yeah, I wish there was more build-up because I think the concept of it is incredibly interesting, and I just wish it was more fleshed out. Like, it was a good idea that was executed poorly. I wish they had some sort of secret meeting, and, he saves her, and they talk, but I don't know why he didn't take her to the spaceship to nurse her back to health, and was in the forest making campfires.
That campfire thing was really weird.
Also, no one asked where Zhane was after like defeating the monster. Of like, hey, he didn't come back for like the next 4 or 5 hours. Like, where were you?
Yeah.
Does no one care?
Like for me, I think this would have been a good episode to plant the seed. I mean, I guess they kind of did plant the seeds of Astronema not being a completely evil person.
Well, they were
Yeah,
building that up with the birthday thing where she was Ashley and she received a gift and she was like, no one has ever done anything nice for me.
Right.
So they
right.
had been planting that from a while ago, but this came out of left field and I just wish it's such a great idea, but I wish it was better executed.
Yeah, I think
don't know.
I think they could have done more if they had plotted a multi episode arc around it.
Yeah, and like, okay, the biggest question, where are they getting all of these different headshots of each other? Does Zane, as a Silver Ranger, just go to Sears and take some portraits and like kind of leave them around in case like someone wants to pick up on him? And does like Astronema like also go to Sears and just randomly like leave headshots of her? Like,
I mean, glamour shots was a big thing back in the day.
Yes,
Okay, yeah, glamour shots
like almost every other weekend, man. That was crazy. I remember that.
Dude, we had this photo thing too. It wasn't glamour shots, but it was like a little photo studio that was kind of competing with glamour shots, but you just come as your own. They don't do your makeup or anything. They just give you cute little star backgrounds.
Kind of like when we were at the Stranger Things pop-up.
Yeah, but those were booths. These were old school ones where they're like Sears photos or like your like school portraits or something, but you just take it with your friends. If you want to go nostalgia, maybe I'll post some on like my social media or something because I have a ton of those pictures.
You know what? I will. I'm going to find mine and I will post them. They will be on my social media. Shout out to South Bay Galleria.
Yeah, boy, that's where I went too. Kind of like more on the.
Yeah, on the close to the elevator, like there was a spot.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm serious about it. I know. But anyway, sorry guys, that was very local.
All good.
But yeah, the photo thing was tripping me out.
Yeah, there's just a lot of weird stuff in this episode.
But they had like a little meet cute of her as a human, like in regular clothes, and not like all the beads in her hair and stuff. And it's like, oh, you're cute when you don't have like the Egyptian eyeliner and all the things going on and the big breast armor.
The breastplate,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like, oh, you get to really see her. And remember, a lot of people forget she indeed. Wow, that was a whistle. She indeed was a model.
Melody Perkins.
Yes. So that's the thing. People have to remember. She was a model, so it's like, oh wow, she's just really good looking. And then here comes, she's on the show. They take down the makeup, and still she's just strikingly beautiful. So it was like, wow, okay, just a natural beauty. That's great. And you kind of do appreciate removing all of that stuff and just her, but you also appreciate her as an actress having to put all that stuff on. It's like, man, that's all.
Are you okay, boy?
I'm dead.
You good?
So while Daniel is fixing himself, I know what Thomas Franco means here. Yeah, you're
always dying.
Yeah. I know what Thomas Franco means in the chat here, but he ended up insinuating that Astronema does a Steve Urkel, Stefan Urkel type thing, but dates himself.
Wait, dates himself?
Yeah, so Thomas Franco just says that Carone, or however you pronounce her real name, and Astronema end up dating. So I know that he means that was Zhane. I'm assuming anyway, that Zhane and Astronema or Carone or whatever. But the way he phrased it there makes it seem like Astronema is dating herself, but as her actual person.
That's accurate.
My level of comprehension that just went right over my head. But as long as Josh understands you, Thomas Franco, that's all that matters. Thanks so much for the comment. If you want to join in, we are talking about A Date with Danger. I don't know. Like, what did you guys think about this episode? What were your highlights and low points for this?
The whole thing?
You didn't like any of it?
Not really. It was for me. This was probably the weakest episode that we've seen so far. Like we haven't had a lot of weak episodes, so that's okay. But this one, it just didn't. There wasn't anything that kind of stuck out to me that's either memorable or just like fun. To me, it was just like all this whole. It just felt like they were trying to force that love story in there, and it just kind of, because there was literally nothing else going on in this episode, it just kind of fell flat for me.
What about you, the BSG?
I definitely agree. It felt like they really tried to force this relationship to really forge something that they really didn't care about. Either it was going to work or it wasn't, and they knew they weren't going to address it again as much as they did for this episode. That's the best way to say it. And it just fell flat. It wasn't authentic. It was, once again, as we said, forced. And even as a kid, I would expect them to be like, ugh, this episode there's so much potential, but it just sucked. And that's exactly how I felt about it.
Oh, man. So we have Jonathan says the low point was the monster. I actually liked the monster, the bull that had like the cute little Ecliptor headpiece on it. I was like, right. Oh, and he was like really round and kind of fuzzy looking. Like, I thought the monster was super cute. He had nothing to do with the episode, though.
No, but
so I do get that as being a low point.
You know what would have been great for the it would have been great if like the monster had something to do with the Zhane and Astronema kind of having a thing. Like if it was like some kind of like a weird Cupid monster, and it turned on Astronema because she attacked it, and then shot her with the thing instead of shooting Zhane. Like, I think that would have at least been, like, an interesting spin on how this all kind of came about.
This is why you need to write these pitches, Josh. Like, pitch some things to Power Rangers. That is actually a really good idea. I wanted more from it because I thought it was super cute. They are trying to fluff up Astrona's character. Like, they're obviously trying to make her look like a better person. She's super cute with the books and being clumsy, and she obviously really likes the Silver Ranger. And I don't know, I thought it was cute. She baked a fucking turkey for him, man. She packed a picnic. She had a candelabra. There was a full-on turkey, and she's like from space, so she had to look up some kind of Thanksgiving recipe, thinking like, yes, Americans, they love these birds. I'm definitely going to take the time to cook this and set up a picnic. Like, I don't know, I thought it was pretty cute. I thought it was a fun episode.
I just wonder, how did he know about the whole marshmallow thing?
Because we've already determined that unlike Andros, Zhane isn't an idiot, and Zhane is able to pick up on local customs a lot quicker than it appears Andros does.
But where did he get it? Like, he saved her, brought her to a camping site, built the fire, cooked something that needed more salt, and also went to the grocery store to buy some marshmallows.
Like, I think it was like a drink. Like, was it a drink or was it like a cup of soup? Like, I don't know what was in there.
I think it was a cup of
healing food.
No, I think it was a cup of soup because he has rations somewhere in that little board of his. He has rations in it, just like every other warrior or soldier would. You have rations, so that's what he had. I don't know where the marshmallows came from, but maybe they're part of the rations too.
But why does he have that though? Like, wouldn't he just be like living on the ship with everyone else?
Yes, but the thing is, you don't know how far or what may happen when you are in battle, which we just saw. He didn't expect to pick her up and I'm gonna wind it down.
Maybe he was a Boy Scout when he was, be prepared.
I guess, but it was just weird because this was on Earth. Like, if they were on another planet and he had to run out, like, that would have made sense to me because it was like, okay, he needs to make a shelter wherever he's at on this planet. They were on Earth. Like,
okay,
that's where that's how we got marshmallows.
He doesn't have an apartment to go to, or like, all right, I've got this lock. I got a storage.
Wait. So you're telling me that Power Rangers don't get paid?
No.
Oh wow, we all know that's not happening.
That's a shitty job right there.
Wow,
well,
Josh,
all superheroes. I don't think any of them
Power Rangers
take photographs. Like Clark Kent had to write for a newspaper. None of them get paid for being super. That has already been well established throughout all of time and space.
Josh is right. It's kind of weird that Power Rangers don't get paid. I wish that there was like some type of union that they could lock into and all get paid. Power Rangers should get paid. Okay, moving on.
All right, so that was a PSA brought to you by
PSG. Just give me it.
by Battlestar Galactica.
There you go.
I'm going to go.
Not necessarily the views.
I'm going to go into the errors and notes while I am doing that. If you guys in the chat want to give us your ratings for this episode, and please remember that my opinion is only my opinion. It does not represent all of the Illuminerdi.
It is true.
So, Zords that appeared in this episode were the Astro Megazord, the Delta Megazord, and the Astro Delta Megazord.
Yep.
So I think we were only missing one, or was that might be all three?
No, the other one never shows up again. The one that like combines with all those things.
Right. Yeah.
I think that was a one-off.
Errors in this episode. When Zhane summons his weapon, his Galaxy Glider comes instead of his weapon.
Same.
Yeah, you know. Two Quantrons came up behind Destructoid, but didn't try to restrain him after Zhane saves Astronema. Scared or not, there's no reason to believe they wouldn't have reacted. I don't know if I remember that.
Yeah, it was just in the very beginning because he was like beating them up because it's like, hey, you hit me, blah blah blah, and he's trying to destroy them, and then they were just like, all right.
They kind of gave up too.
Yeah.
Notes: two versions of this episode were filmed, as scenes from the alternate version were shown on the Next Time On and previously on segments in episodes surrounding this one. The most notable change is that Astronema's demeanor towards Zhane is a lot tougher. I'm like, after seeing this episode, I'm interested in seeing what the original one was and like what they changed, or like what they felt wasn't good about that episode, considering how I felt about this one.
Yeah, and then see if it was an improvement or if they made it worse.
Right. The movie in this episode, Star-Crossed Lovers, will be brought up again during the Lost Galaxy episode Double Duty. So I guess there's like some shared universe connections going on there. The episode shares the title of a Dino Supercharged episode, and there was a deleted scene in this episode. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Does that mean that there was a scene that was deleted from the episode, or that there's a scene that appears in the episode that was deleted from another episode?
Yes.
That's the answer.
I don't.
That's the answer.
Yes, I don't know. So going to the chats, Jonathan gives this episode a 3.5. Metal Ryan Cluster gives it a 3. Larry Newbill gives it a 3.5. Jared Hodges gives it a 3, and Thomas Franco gives it a 4. So overall, it seems like, while people don't necessarily agree with me that this was not a good episode, they agree that it's not nearly as good as some of the previous episodes have been, because these scores are noticeably lower than what they have been.
Yeah,
before.
they're like middle of the road. Not fantastic, but it's definitely not the worst we've seen.
Yeah.
So Josh, I feel like you have like the most opinionated answer. What would you rate this particular episode?
I'm gonna give it a 2.
Okay, I feel like that's fair for you.
Like, it's not. I can't say that it was like a really shitty episode. Because there were a couple of fun moments in it, like in the very beginning when they're all deciding that they're going to go see the movie, and the girls were like, oh, well, you picked the movie last week. Oh, let's go get Zhane and see if he wants to go see it. Like there were, and you know, the thing with the marshmallow was funny. Like, nothing made any sense, but taken on their own, these small little bits and pieces here and there were fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, BSG, what say you?
For me, actually, I agree with Josh and Mikey. It's definitely a 2. What they could have done, they didn't do. What I expected, they didn't even try. And last but not least, what they did do, they didn't execute correctly. So it gets a 2.
Yo, what up, Mikey Nerd Talk and BSG? I'm gonna surprise you all since I was defending this episode. I'm gonna be real. It gets a 2. They set this up to be like a Romeo and Juliet episode, and there was like no reference to that. I wanted it to be the Star-Crossed Lovers. I wanted it to be like hey, I'm not supposed to date you, but I like you, and I wanted it to amount to something. Like, obviously, they wouldn't die in the end, but I was hoping that they would come to some sort of allegiance. It was really weird. Also weird that Zhane wouldn't tell anyone, like, hey, I think she's a hottie, even though she's our enemy. Maybe she was kind of nice to me. I could talk to her, win her over, or something like that.
Or
like, I don't know. And it made me not like Zhane a little bit because he was so reluctant to help out his friends, considering they were all like, we're a team, we're in this together, we got your back, don't worry about it. And he was like, no, like, I got a date, man. Like, I don't even want to do that. And even
right?
Kimberly, who has hot dates, was willing to put, her status as a Power Ranger to protect others above anything else in her personal life. It made me not really like Zhane, even though he is so cute.
That reason right there is why I thought it was just too forced into this one single episode. If they had drawn it out, and Zhane had continually tried to shirk other responsibilities to go and hang out with Astronema, and it became a recurring thing, I think that would have added an additional dimension to the story that just would have made it feel more complete in some way.
And Jonathan says we can blame Alpha. Alpha is, and Zordon too, definitely cock blocks throughout the entire series so far. So yes, we can blame Alpha for this. But also Zhane trying to sneak away. Like, I don't know. That's not what I want for my Power Rangers, man. I want them to be like Superman. I want them to be ultimate good. Maybe have some internal conflict. Like, I get that. But he was really willing to sideline his friends that were in serious danger. It wasn't like, hey, you can't be on like, hey, Tommy, like, we need you to talk about something. I don't know. It was weird. It was a weird cock block.
I agree.
And he was trying to just be like, I wish I was in my like cryogenic thing so I don't have to help anyone or do anything.
Right. I feel like he'd be the guy who, like, now they'd all be sitting there and he'd be off in his room watching Netflix or something. And they would get the notification. And they'd be everyone would be like, hey, Zhane, come on. There's a monster attacking Angel Grove. He'd be like, can I get 5 minutes? I'm almost done with this episode of Tiger King. Just 1 sec. I need to see what happens with Carol Baskin.
He's like, dude, look.
I feel like
her arm is missing, bro. Oh, God. That's very true. He'll put up his net gain or happiness over his anything else. So it's like he's very stuck on the whole Nietzsche sliding scale, and it's really bad because the thing that was funny for me is when he came down with the flowers and he was like, hey, and she was shooting at him and he's like, can we try this again? Like, I'm like, dude, how thirsty are you, my dude? Like,
he was frozen for like 2 years, man.
Yeah,
he just woke up.
Ashley, just go for Ashley. She's right there. Like, Ashley's hot to trot. She is waiting.
No,
and he was like, nah, I'm going for Astronema. Yeah, she wants it. Like,
but now it's established that Ashley and Andros are a thing as of last week. I wish they built that up more. I also wish that like Zhane would have went to Andros to have like a little more conversation. Like, why is it so hard? Blah, blah, blah. Or like, I don't know, something to show that Zhane and Andros are best friends. Like, they tell, but they don't show. And that's one of my pet peeves in all media. But
that's very true. That's very true.
So this was a lower episode for us. We have, kind of like two's going around,
Yeah, but it's okay. There's still like 40 episodes of the season left.
I know, but it had so much potential, and that's why I almost was going to give it a 1 because I had high expectations for it, and it just fell flat. But man, I hope they come and revisit their relationship because this next episode has me super sad by the end.
Really?
I think we should just, jump into it. It's Zane's destiny that we don't. Yeah, you guys lead this one off.
All right. Well, so we start off with our Rangers on a planet. It looks like a kind of desert planet. They're kind of dressed up like Jawas, and they're walking around trying to find a power beacon or something. Because
they're actually looking for Zordon for the first time in like so long, and they should be looking at him since the beginning of this freaking season, man. Like all day, every day. And if not him, they should be looking for Crone.
It's so bizarre to me how both of those storylines just take like a back seat to the Monster of the Week thing. Like
and these monsters were super weak this week.
Yeah, like I understand that the episodes are only 22 minutes long, and that you can only fit so much story into them. So it's not like you know, like a 1 hour episode of any of these other shows that are on TV now that
Yeah.
are episodic, where they've got the storyline for the episode, but then the last 5 minutes of the episode or the last 10 minutes of the episode they spend talking about the overall arc of the season.
Right.
They can't really do that here, but still, it seems like we go episodes and episodes and episodes without either Andros' sister being mentioned at all, or without any reference to Zordon happening at all. Like, it feels like that should be a central thing in every episode. Like, if a Monster of the Week episode should, like, I feel the season should just all be, okay, Monster of the Week, they go to a different planet in search of Zordon, and Astronema's there to fuck with them and sends whatever monster down. It should all be based around their search for either Corone, whatever, however her name is pronounced, and Zordon, and it just doesn't do that.
Yeah, I feel like these last 2 episodes didn't even need monsters. Like, if we were going to develop, you know, the plots between these certain characters or their backstories, we don't even need monsters. And especially since these were like barely a mention in these last 2 episodes, I was kind of disappointed with it. But
I was disappointed that we had monsters, but on this episode, they were used very masterfully. I gotta say, I enjoyed the way they were.
Guy.
Yes, and he was like a bad guy. Find out later that he's Dark.
I like that.
Man, it was so good, and I love how it was like he planted that little thing on Ashley, tossed it against the wall, and says, "Look, guys, here it is. Clearly, she is evil. This is what's happening," and everyone jumps on it, and it becomes a mob mentality. And no matter what they do, they can't win. And I loved that moment. That was good to see the Rangers have to kind of deal with this. It was almost like Iron Man 3, where people say, oh, Iron Man 3 was really Tony Stark Part 1. It felt like that for Power Rangers. It felt like it's Power Rangers in space. It's called Demorphed, Episode 1, because they didn't morph. They were dealing with everything as themselves. Mm-hmm. And it kind of showed us what it takes to be a Ranger, because they did so much without being morphed. They had to talk to people. They had to negotiate. They had to be diplomats. They did all this stuff. And I was like, yo, bravo.
I enjoyed this episode more than the previous one. But I did still have issues with it. Like Elle was saying, it just felt like Elle's issue with the last episode. I felt like this was a great setup for an episode, but it wasn't executed as well as it could have been. This is another episode that I think would have benefited from having at least 2 episodes, like being a two-parter, and kind of being able to focus on what was going on. Because I mean, this was a big moment for them, where they found everyone from KO-35 here on this planet, and they spent like 8 minutes with them, if that. Yeah. Like it just felt like it was rushed too much. And like part of this for me could be that I'm used to watching 1-hour dramas, or not necessarily 1-hour dramas, but like now most shows like this today would be an hour long instead of 22 minutes. Like obviously that's still the Power Rangers format, but anything that you watch on Netflix or Amazon or network TV, any of these kind of shows that are aimed at a more adult audience are hour long instead of half-hour episodes, and that gives them a little bit more flexibility with the story. So like I would love to see what Power Rangers could do with a 40-minute show, like just like a full-on 40-minute episode like season. I think that would give them a lot more opportunity to have more original like they could still use all the cutaways to the Japanese footage for the fights, but that would give them a lot more opportunity to use original footage to develop those stories and inter-character relationships a little bit more than they can now.
And that's what we need to, like, even if the editing or like the pacing of it was slightly different, of like, oh my god, we know you, we're reconnecting, where have you been, what's going on, like, and having that communications, like, you know, build up and you have that hype, but watching the clickers or what do you call the fungus coral people come out? Yeah. Whereas I was like, man, if they took The Last of Us kind of made them really horrifying, that would have been, and have the humans be kind of like the monsters that are spreading it like zombies. Like we didn't even need a Monster of the Week for this one, and missed opportunity for Zhane, Andros, and the community having that heartfelt, like, where have you been? What's been going on? We've been looking for you. Why are you here? And answering a lot of those backstory questions. I'm so sad that they missed that. And the slow burn with the mustache man, that should have been paced out over some episodes, as Josh was saying as well.
True. But I will say, if they made it where the coral thing was like upon contact, now you can become one, there would be the issue of immediately they would end up touching a ranger. And then once a ranger's turn, they're like, see, we can't be the one starting it. None of ours is turned. And they'd be like, dang, yeah, that's a point. And it would kind of deflate that whole problem. So with them not doing it that way, they were able to still point it at the Rangers. But I did like that idea of, okay, it's the humans as the bad guys needing no monster. Once again, Last of Us, it would have been sick. But it probably would have been too scary for kids. Or they would have considered it too scary for kids.
Maybe. I don't know. I think kids are able to handle a lot more.
Especially these days with everything that's out and
like
everyone's just.
But it's weird. Like I feel like TV shows now, like kids shows now, are dumbed down more than they were back in like the 80s and 90s. That maybe it's just nostalgia, but if you go back and you look at shows like G.I. Joe or He-Man or Thundercats or Transformers, like there was tons of violence in those shows, just like there were in Transformers. G.I. Joe wasn't afraid to kill people off. It just felt very like Power Rangers feels. It feels like the Fisher Price version of a kid's show to me. Like like they're trying to be safe with everything rather than just going with the story.
I don't know, like, Space has been experimenting a lot versus previous seasons. So, like, this season of Power Rangers, I think, is doing some really good... They have great ideas. Maybe the writing isn't there, but it's leaps and bounds better than Turbo. And Joe just says this season overall seems like less of a toy commercial, which I think is true. Like, they don't have as many Zords. They don't have the individual Zords per person. Like, the Megazord is just the same thing over, with the exception of that one that fused everything. But
I feel like I'm honestly Lost Galaxy is the next series, right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually really excited. As much as I am overall enjoying this series, I'm kind of excited to see what happens with Lost Galaxy, because In Space feels like it's a transitionary season. Like, it feels like they're moving from what they had been doing with Mighty Morphing, Zeo, and Turbo, and trying to take the show in a slightly different direction, and change the way it's being made and the execution of the episodes. So I like the direction that it's going in. I feel like it's still kind of stuck somewhere in between.
It's learning what it can be. It understands, or at least sees, its potential. But the problem is, as far as grasping it, taking advantage of it, and being control of its own fate, it doesn't know how to do that yet. And that's the thing that's happening on the show. Mm-hmm. That's why we have these great ideas, these concepts that are like, wow, this is beyond what we usually are accustomed to when it comes to Power Rangers. But when we try to put them together, when we try to actually make them happen, it's like, yeah, the execution, it fails, it falters, and that's what keeps happening.
I'm gonna cut in here for a really quick second. Joe has a correction for me. G.I. Joe never actually killed anyone. People remember Duke dying in the movie, but at the end he was recovering. I don't remember that. So
what? He got hit with Serpentor's snake in the chest. He falls off. We actually see blood, and at the end of the movie, he gets up and he's like, whatever, like he's like laid out.
I don't remember that. Like, I honestly, I haven't seen the G.I. Joe movie in forever. I watched the animated Transformers movie like every once in a while, but the G.I. Joe one, it's just never been a thing. So maybe what we'll do is, Elle, have you seen either the animated G.I. Joe movie from the late 80s or the Transformers movie?
I have seen 0 movies.
Okay. So here's what we'll do. The Transformers and G.I. Joe will be at the top of our list. I have Transformers 86, the DVD of the animated movie, so we can do a watch along on Twitter or whatever. And we can do that with both
Jester,
Transformers and G.I. Joe, and then
Jester
we'll shoot your reactions.
says, dude got killed by a car. A car fell on him. Oh God. Captain America, if you die, shake it off. So, yeah.
Could do this all day.
Yeah, right? The Rock was with him. I remember when that happened. Yeah,
He's talking about the live action G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's why when he said The Rock was with him, I was like... And then I just laughed, like, I know exactly what he's talking about. But anyway, this episode...
Yeah, so let's get some ratings from the chat.
For Zane's Destiny.
For Zane's Destiny, I saw Mikey put his up there, so I'll have to scroll back up for that. But while you guys are putting your ratings in there, I will go through the notes and the errors. Zords this time, same as last episode, Astro Delta and Astro Delta Megazord. The only error listed here is that at one point, I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but Tykwa, Tykwa, calls TJ by name, but they were never introduced and his name was never said in her presence.
Bravo.
That's completely not unexpected.
Not at all.
This marks the first appearance of Commander Kinwan and Twika. This is the second episode after the events of... This is worded really weird again. Give me 1 second here. Okay. This is the second episode in which Astronema demonstrates loving feelings towards Zhane, even she was briefly reluctant to order an attack against him after receiving instructions from Dark Spectre. Later, only Zhane again indirectly mentions the subject with Andros and Dark Spectre's revenge. So, that it is...
It's dropped?
It's dropped. We don't see it again.
No. So this is the second episode in which that Zhane and Astronema kind of being together is a thing.
Well, Josh, just letting you know, man, the first 6 seasons were called the Zordon era, in case you forgot. That's how Thomas writes it. I'm sorry, I'm picking on you, Thomas, because it sounds like you're like, Josh, the first 6 seasons were called the Zordon era, in case you forgot. But he doesn't mean it that way. You know, he's just like letting you know.
Sorry. Hold on 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, God, he's going to have a response. I love it. But that is interesting to me that it's called the Zordon era.
Because Zordon's not even in this one.
Yeah, right. Like, he's not in this.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
All right, well, if this is called the Zordon era, why isn't Zordon in any of these fucking episodes?
Now drop the mic. Just drop the mic.
I think it's expensive.
He's like, no, just knock it over and walk off. But it's true. He's not in any of the episodes.
He was. We've seen him in what, 2 episodes so far?
Yeah. Oh no, Rangers. Yeah, that doesn't count.
All right, so let's see scores in the chat. Mikey Nerd Talk is giving this episode a 3. Let me scroll back down here. Metal Ryan Cluster gives it a 3. I think that's Ryan L. Thomas, I believe. Jonathan is giving it a 3. Larry Newbill is giving it a 4. Thomas Franco a 2.5. And Edward Sanchez Productions is giving it a 4. Daniel, let's start with you. What is your rating for this episode?
I like this episode. I like what they tried to do with it. Once again, it wasn't executed properly. So that already takes away from a 5, dropping it to a 4. But then after that, it was getting cheesy close to the end when they should have been actually pushing harder, especially with that reveal. That gives it another sin. Boom. Drops the episode down to a 3.
L?
Oh. I don't know. It's one of these things where I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I want to give it a higher rating because the concept of this was super great. I love Darkonda's reveal, I thought was super good. They had very Star Wars, like the music sound more Star Wars. And I was just waiting for like Zhane and for Andros and the rest of his people to just like force attack like everyone and just be like, get back and like protect themselves. That never really happened. I don't know how their telekinesis works and why they never utilize it when they're fighting, because I feel like that would be why I introduce that if you're not going to use it. But I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm going to give it a 3 because do think this was a little more thought out than the last episode, but man, right, a 2.5. We're doing decimals. Thomas Franco, I'm on the same page as you. It's going to be a 2.5 for me.
Jared Hodges popped in and gave it a 4. Donnie Pearson gives it a 20 out of 20 for both episodes profiled in the stream. So that is a 1 out of 1. Just reducing it down to the minimum.
5 out of 5.
And then Joe is chiming in here again with as a counter to my argument about Zordon not being in any of these episodes. He says Iron Man 1 to 3 are considered to be in the Infinity Saga, but there aren't any gems in those movies.
Well,
which is accurate.
Lamont Smalls does say they call it the Zordon era since this was the 6-season storyline arc. First off, that's stupid. Then after that, even though Zordon was only a prominent character through the start of Turbo. Now, the thing is, why do we have a 6-season story arc? Like, dear God, that is a long story arc. But I do get it when you are a fan. If you can give me as much as possible, nom.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe it's not stupid, and I'm wrong for saying that. That actually does make a lot of sense.
I mean, my comment was more in response to just the whole comment about being part of the Zordon era, because I don't think I understand what comment I made that was directed at. So if
it wasn't like he was just trying to inform you. He was just letting you know, like, hey, it's the Zordon era.
Gotcha. Okay. See, I had assumed I'd said something that prompted that response, which is completely possible.
That's what I thought at first, but I'm like, it's Thomas, and Thomas doesn't want to be mean. He's just like, hey, I'm just giving you some info. So I was like, oh.
But no, I mean that's fine. That's called the Zordon era. I just, like I said, I would prefer to see more Zordon. Because like Joe said,
we're done with Zordon. Stop giving a shit about the Rangers. Like how many seasons ago?
Okay,
we don't need no more Zordon.
Let me rephrase. The whole season is supposed to be about finding Andros' sister and finding what they did with the Zordon.
It's some MacGuffin.
Yeah. Like if I just feel like we haven't that storyline has just kind of been dropped as like, okay, where'd that go? Whereas with Iron Man 1 through 3, we kind of understood that those were specific Iron Man stories.
Yeah.
So it feels like a slightly different situation. But maybe that's just me. You know, who knows?
Well, Lamont says the cast transition, starting with Zordon and Alpha, and especially the Turbo team, seems to be foreshadowing the standalone seasons, beginning with Lost Galaxy. So hopefully once we get into that, we'll see it a little bit more. You already mentioned Lost Galaxy, so can't wait to get into that. But yeah.
Yeah, also, I just want to say, how dare you, Joe, don't ever badmouth Doctor Who. I will find you. I know where you live. Okay, go back to what we were talking about.
Let's be real. I love Doctor Who, but Doctor Who is like timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, and lots that don't make sense never. Exactly. So, but we accept it, and that's why I like Power Rangers too. Like, we are being nitpicky on the show, but we absolutely do love Power Rangers.
I mean,
it's just like as an adult on this retrospective that we're taking, you know. So.
And as far as like as far as story arcs go, like Supernatural, like the TV show, has been on for 15 years now.
Oh God, for like 50 years.
Technically, the entire show is just one long story arc following the Winchester brothers, but each season has its own story arc that fits within that one season. So like the first 5 seasons were like all about the yellow-eyed demon and all that kind of crap, and now it's all about like God trying to destroy like every universe or you know whatever's going on now. But you were able to break it down, and you could see where everything connected, like all those episodes in Supernatural. At least, like I was saying earlier, at the end there's at least 5 or 6 minutes, sometimes more, that's dedicated to the overall plot of the season or whatever the big arc is. Here, at the end of this episode, we're still no closer to finding Zordon or finding out that Astronema is really Andros' sister than we were at the beginning of the episode.
But I think that's fine as long as you keep them in there and you keep laying the breadcrumbs. Like, it is supposed to be a huge reveal, so I can't wait until we actually find Zordon, until we actually get the reveal that, you know, I'm your long-lost sister, you know, I'm Crone. So I'm waiting to see till that reveal before I like poo on all of these like smaller episodes. You know,
and I'm not poo pooing on them at all. I mean, these last two, yeah, I am a little bit, just because the episodes themselves weren't that great. But and maybe that's why I currently feel the way I do about it, is because these two episodes I feel like were not as stellar as some of the previous episodes have been. So
yeah,
the fact that
I agree.
So the fact that now we're 4 episodes in and we're still no closer to finding out anything than we were 15 episodes ago is it's more noticeable.
But we got to see their community. Zhane's gonna go with them. I hope we do follow. Like, the part that I was upset about this particular episode is like we're getting so many Zhane episodes. I'm really starting to like him, and I like his character and learning about him. And now he's gonna go off with the community. I hope we have like the A and B plot lines where we see the Rangers and we also see what's going on with Zhane and the old community and how they're gonna rebuild or hide or whatever it is that they're going to be doing.
I would love that. I would love that, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's probably not going to happen. Because remember, that costs money. Let's shoot on 2 different stages. No. Let's cut the stage in half.
I know.
It's still no. 2 cameras. No. Like, it's not happening. They're not doing that.
But it might. So if you guys want to tune in to see our reaction to the next 2 episodes of Power Rangers in Space, make sure to tune in next Sunday. We'll be here at 5 o'clock, kind of going back to our original time. Hopefully that works out for y'all. But yeah.
Let's get some plugs.
Plugs.
Let's see.
Plugs.
Next, we have coming up at 7:45 the new episode of Rage Cage with Sam and Brandon debating whether or not the Empire in Star Wars is inherently
evil. That is a genius idea. I want to know if
they are not. They are not inherently evil.
Ooh, Elle should be on the show. Holy hell.
No, I voted. I put my vote on. If you go to our Instagram account, which is _Illuminerdi, we have a poll up on our live stories. Feel free to throw your vote in there. It might change though. You might want to wait till, is it 7:45? It's going to air at 7:45.
Yeah, 7:45.
7:45, and then you can listen to both sides of the debate before you cast your vote. Or if you're like Hasty McHastins like me, you can just vote right now because you know you're right.
Well, and also, I mean, not only vote with which side you believe in, but also let us know whether you think Brandon or Sam did a better job of presenting their argument. Because that's the other side of the debate, is that, you know, you might agree with Sam, but Brandon might have been arguing his case better than Sam was. So, you know, you gotta let us know.
And that's a great idea, and it brings things together, but it just lets us remember that it's a slobber knocker. Speaking of slobber knockers, at 8 o'clock, we've got wrestling. We've got the Illuminerdi World Order. Wrestling Order, I'm sorry. And they're going to be breaking down everything concerning wrestling. Right now, we have the question of, well, I mean, is Vince going to fire more people? Or what's going to happen with it? We found out that they're making a new game, and we're going to find out as much information concerning that as well. So there's a lot going on in wrestling. So
I'm actually excited for that new game, too.
See, I'm telling you, dude. I was like, oh. When they said they canceled, I knew they were going to announce a new game.
Mm-hmm. I watched the trailer for it, and while the game looks a little bit more cartoony than like the WWE 2K whatever series does, it looks fun. Like, it looks like it's going to be something the same, but at the same time a little bit different. So I'm really looking forward to that. But then after the wrestling show, 10 o'clock on our Twitch, Elle and I will be watching the new episode of Rick and Morty and talking about it.
Pickle Rick! Oh, come on. I mean, come on.
This is fascist Bear Rick.
Oh, yeah.
Fascist
That's still one of my... I think from the season, that episode is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Man, it's always a toss-up between the shy pooping and the freaking snakes. The snakes with, like, the actual time travel. Like, damn, that episode was so freaking good. I am super hyped for the mid-season premiere. Make sure to tune in at 10. And before that, at 8 is wrestling. And then at 7:45, make sure to watch Rage Cage for that debate, guys. I think that'll do it
Yeah,
for
that's
us.
gonna be it.
Do we
Joe
have...
just said that the new WWE game looks like their version of NBA Jam, which I believe it's from. It's from the same company, I think.
I think Joe should share his opinion at 8 o'clock during the Wrestling World Order. So that's what he'll do.
He will.
And that's what we'll discuss. Till then, we should say goodbye. Thank you guys for watching.
Goodbye, and thank you guys for watching.
See you guys.
Later.
Oh.